Hi, Terry here from Stamping Magic. Welcome back to my channel. Today's project is a card holder. Mine holds 4 cards with envelopes, but I think you could probably get up to 6 depending on how dimensional you make the cards. Now I've used the Sweet as a Peach stamp set together with the peach dies, as well as some of the You're a Peach Designer Series paper. I've added a magnetic closure for this one. So here are my 4 envelopes and these are my 4 cards. This last one was created using mainly the dies. So let's get started. These are all the measurements you need for all the elements required to create this project. So if you're interested in reproducing it, take a screenshot so you can refer to it later. I'm using Calypso Coral card to create my card holder, and I need 2 pieces. The larger piece is for the back and the pocket, and the smaller piece is for the top and the front. I'm placing the larger piece with the longer side across the top of my Simply scoreboard. Then I'm going to score down at 2 inches and 3 inches. I'll then turn my cardstock so the shorter side is across the top, and I'm going to score down at a 1/2 inch, 1.5 inches, 6 1/8 of an inch, and 7 1/8 of an inch. Next, the smaller piece goes into the Simply scoreboard with the longer side across the top, and I'm going to score down at a 1/2 inch and 1.5 inches. Because I use A4 as my standard size card, my 2 pieces are a 1/2 inch longer than if you use 8.5 inch by 11. So if you don't use A4, your smaller piece will be 7.5 inches and your larger piece will be 9 inches. If you hold the smaller piece with the 2 horizontal score lines towards you, you just want to make a slanted cut at either end of the 1/2 inch tab, just like so. Again, with the larger piece, if you have the 2 horizontal score lines closest to you, you will see that there's a small rectangular section in the bottom corners. Now those we're going to keep, but we're going to remove the sections above it. Now inside that corner section you have another rectangle with a square section above it. We're going to keep the square but get rid of the piece above the square. So I'm cutting across the top of that corner rectangle, and then I'm cutting up the edge of the square on the side and the top, and then I'll remove everything else. Now I'm going to repeat that for the other side so it looks exactly the same. So I'm cutting at the top of that corner rectangle, the side and the top of the square, and then I'm going to remove all the sections above them. So this is how your piece should look. I want to create a tab from the little square section, so I'm going to separate it at the bottom, just using a straight cut, and then I'm going to slant cut each side, so the top and the bottom of that square tab. I'm also going to slant cut the top and the bottom of the corner rectangle section. Now I'm going to repeat that for the other side. So I'll separate the square tab and slant cut the top and the bottom of it, and then slant cut the top and the bottom of the corner rectangle section. I can now fold on all the scored lines and burnish them with my bone folder. I have two pieces of the Europeach Designer Series paper. Now the smaller one is going to be for the front of the pocket and the larger one is for the front of the card box. Now you want to make sure if your paper has a pattern orientation, so if it's got a one-way design, that this is running in the right direction. Okay, so the front piece, you'll have the scored sections at the top and the pocket is at the bottom of the other section, but it's folded up. So just check that your pattern runs in the right direction. Now I've given you the measurements for these and I've measured it so they're exact to the pieces they're going to cover, but I haven't allowed for the score lines. So try your paper against your pieces, and if necessary you may need to just trim off a slither of paper along one or two of the edges. So I've taken a little piece off the bottom of my pocket paper and I'm just going to take another little bit off the side, and this will ensure that your paper doesn't hang over the edges of your card holder. Once you're happy that the sizes are okay, then add glue to the reverse and position them onto your card holder. You want to make sure that you apply the glue all over the piece. The reason for this is because you're using a magnetic closure, or if you're using a Velcro closure, when you open and close it, you don't want the paper to tear, you want it to be very secure. So I've positioned the paper onto the front of my pocket, and now I can position the larger piece onto the front section of the card holder. The magnet won't be attached to the paper here, so you don't need to apply so much glue. Before I attach the closure to the front, I'm going to create a fancy edge on the bottom of it. And to do this, you can use any border die that you have. Now I'm going to mark the center of this piece just to help me align the die so it's even on both sides. Now it's 4 5/8 of an inch wide, so I'm marking it at 2 5/16 of an inch. As I said, you can use any border die you like to decorate the bottom of this panel, but I'm choosing one from the basic Borders die set. Most of these dies would be suitable, and I've already gone ahead and marked the center point on each of them. So it's just a case of lining up the center point on the die with that on the panel, securing it, and then running it through the die cutting machine. Now within this die set there are some lovely shapes, and I think all would be okay apart from the cloud one. But the one I'm going to use today is this one. So I'll position the point of the V with my center mark, and then I'll use my grid paper to help me even up the sides. And once I'm happy, I'll secure the die with some washi tape. You want to secure the washi on the piece that's going to be removed, because you may find that when you remove the washi tape it tears the paper. I'll now run this through my die cutting machine, but I'll only run it just past the die and then back out again. If you run it all the way through, your paper could be marked by the plates. And this is the lovely edge that you get with this die. To form the pocket, I'm going to add glue to the 1/2 inch corner tabs and the little 1 inch square tabs. I've turned my piece over, and then I'm going to bring the square tabs and the corner tabs forward and apply the glue. Then all I need to do is bring the pocket up and secure the little square tabs, and then bring the back section up to meet the 1/2 inch rectangular tabs. While you do this, you want to make sure everything is nice and square, and then press the pieces down using your bone folder. The front section is added to the back section by applying glue to the right side of the 1/2 inch tab on the front section. And then you can place the back section on top of this. That 1/2 inch tab should be on the inside. And this is how it looks when you close the front panel. The magnets I'm using are 1 centimetre in diameter, or 3/8 of an inch, and they do have adhesive on the back, but I always like to apply a couple of extra glue dots on top of that. I'm placing the 2 non-sticky sides of the magnets together, and then I'm going to place it on the front panel first of all, and this is towards the point, so it's at the centre mark. Now, before I position it onto the front of the pocket, I want to make sure that my card holder remains completely square, because my front panel is slightly shorter now than the back panel. So once I've established that it's nice and square, I can press the magnet onto my pocket. Now, the first time you open it, it's a little bit tricky. You just want to make sure you don't tear that paper, but then it'll be fine from then on. This is the Sweet as a Peach stamp set. Now, I'll be using the flowers and the peaches and the foliage and the Sweet as a Peach sentiment. For the cards, I also used the large peach and some additional sentiments. I've die cut a basic white matte here, and I've used one of the scalloped contour dies, and it's the 2nd size down. Now, just to mention that I used the 3rd size down on all the cards. Now, this set does include a border die, so you could have used that to create your card holder if you wanted to. The inks I'll be using are Pear Pizzazz for the foliage, Bumblebee for the flowers, Calypso Coral for the peaches, and for the sentiment. I'm going to stamp the foliage directly onto the die cut panel, and I'm doing this twice, once from the left side and once from the right. Then I can stamp the sentiment towards the bottom of the panel in the middle. My foliage on the top right is sort of dangling mid-air, so I'm just going to extend the stem into the corner using my Pear Pizzazz Stamping Right marker. Onto some scrap basic white card, I'm going to stamp 1 set of peaches and 1 set of the flowers. To finish off the flowers, I'm using my Stampin' Blends alcohol marker in dark Calypso Coral, just to add some colour to the centres. And you could use your Calypso Coral Stamping Right marker to do this instead, if you prefer. Both the peaches and the flowers will be die cut using the coordinating outline dies from the peach die set. I'm going to add some texture to my die cut panel, and I'm using the Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder to do this. And this is how it looks. I can now place my peaches and my flowers onto my panel where I want them. I've already gone ahead and added dimensionals onto the back of each of them. And then I can remove the backs to the dimensionals and position them permanently. I've also added dimensionals onto the back of the panel itself. And now the panel can be positioned onto the front of the card holder. And that's my card holder complete. Here's another look at the 4 cards. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notifications bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Bye for now.